If you're familiar with Cesar Millan, otherwise known as the dog whisperer, then you're familiar with his phrase, "It's not about the dog, it's about the human." This phrase is so meaningful to me because I believe it applies to all our relationships, not just with dogs. In other words, our relationships are a direct reflection of who we are. It's always about us. Cesar once said, and I quote, "Create rules, boundaries, and limitations," end quote. We are always teaching people how to treat us. And when we experience undesirable results, we're quick to go into victim mode and point the finger at the other person, not realizing we chose to accept the bad behavior. When we're not clear on our personal boundaries, there will always be people who will try and test the waters. We all seek validation in one form or another. It's a natural human tendency. As a result, we're sometimes reluctant to communicate our boundaries in fear of losing a connection. But in the end, we lose our sense of worth. Clearly communicating our rules, boundaries, and limitations will not only create authentic connections, but purge the ones that are not for our highest good. This can only be achieved when we have a clear understanding of who we are. In other words, it's not about the dog. Cesar once said, and I quote, "You never get the dog you want. You always get the dog you need," end quote. I truly believe we never meet people by accident. There's always a reason for every encounter. I also believe each encounter is meant to teach us about ourselves. Now, some encounters are meant to stay for only a season, while others are meant to stay for a lifetime. I learned this the hard way, and experience has taught me to not get attached, but instead go with the flow of each encounter and know when it's time to let go. Continuing to hang on to an encounter that was not meant to stay forever will only prevent us from creating space for new encounters. So here's the question: how can we tell the difference? When we find ourselves repeating the same lessons over and over again, it's time to let go. Remember, it's all about us. Every encounter, every journey, every lifetime. In other words, it's not about the dog. Cesar once said, and I quote, "It becomes very obvious by reading a dog how stable or unstable his human companion is. Our dogs are our mirrors," end quote. I believe we are energy at our core. It's what we are. I also believe our energy is our karma. In other words, how our energy feels is the result of what we choose to think and what we choose to do. And in my opinion, there's no other species that can read our energy better than a dog. If we want to know how our energy feels, observing a dog's behavior when in our presence will tell us all we need to know. In other words, a dog is always reflecting our karma back to us. Although I no longer have a dog, I still find myself watching Cesar Millan from time to time. Not for the purpose of understanding a dog, but for the purpose of understanding myself. In other words, it's not about the dog. Well, this is all I have for today. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, be safe and make sure to keep paying attention to your karma. It's our greatest teacher.